our overall experience here at Finest Punta Cana, this resort is new. It opened in October 2021, and it looks new. It looks, modern and updated, and I really, it's almost like an oasis kind of behind, like when you step through the front doors, you kind of don't see all of it until you come down these sweeping stairs into this, beautiful bar area, which is, in the lobby, and then out into this kind of a jungly look, which I really enjoyed. I really thought it's a very pretty resort. They've done a great job with kind of the aesthetics of it. All the buildings are white and with like little black touches, but then they've got these wonderful pops of color everywhere, in the greenery, and just, even the giant flamingo playground area for the kids. To me, it was just very pretty resort. And of course the beach area is just gorgeous, really a gorgeous beach, and very accessible, easy to get into the water, and just kind of an expansive sweep of beach down here. I really enjoyed staying here with my family. I came with my husband and my 14-year-old daughter, and this resort, compared to some other ones that we've stayed at, it felt to me a bit more chill in general. Like, I felt like there wasn't just people on top of me everywhere. I think there's a lot of people here, but it's just not, generally it's not like everyone's congregating in the same area. I think there's like a lot of kind of expansive space that people spread out over, and so I don't feel like there's people on top of me everywhere, which was nice. So for younger kids, we have a 14-year-old daughter, so we didn't take advantage of these while we're here, but we saw a lot of other people taking advantage of them. And when my daughter was younger, I would have loved these areas. In the pool, they have this kind of interesting, I don't know what to call it. It's like this bouncy, mountain that's in one of the pools. Is like this big blue, I don't know, inverted trampoline, sort of, where kids climb on top of it, and it's like bouncy. You can see that it's bouncy, so they're bouncing all of it, and then they slide down the sides of it and fall in the water, and they laugh and they climb up again. It looked fun. So they have like actually two of those, one for the bigger kids and one for in a smaller area for the little kids. So those look fun, and that's different. I haven't seen that anywhere else. Well, one thing that I will say about the main pool here at Finest Punta Cana is, at least when we were here, it was super warm, which I am so cold-natured. I hate being cold. That is my number one reason I do not like to swim. I like swimming, but I hate being cold. And so this was so pleasant. Like, I was not cold in any way, and that I will not forget that, because that is just not typical. My experience, I usually find that a lot of swimming pools are too cold for my liking, but this one was perfect. Also, I did not do this, but I did see it, and I would recommend their water aerobics, because they also had a water aerobics one morning when we were down at the pool, and I just kind of watched it. But I will tell you, it looked really fun. Like, it didn't look like, oh, boring water aerobics, or do this. They were, I don't know what they were doing, but everybody was laughing. Everybody was like conga lining in the pool. It was like kind of like a party. I was kind of like, I probably should have done that. So they do a great job of that here. They also have this nice flamingo themed, playground area for the kids, and the floor of it is like that really kind of soft material, like in case somebody falls, it's not going to hurt them. It's really kind of soft material underneath the playground. So there's slides and there's things for them to climb on, and big flowers and a big flamingo, so that was really cute. There's also a kids club that looks really cool, and there's like a water park with a big bucket that dumps water on top of you. So those all looked really fun for little kids. One thing that, like, this is maybe one of those weird things that you wouldn't think about, but I really appreciate about this resort, is they have done an amazing job with covered walkways where pretty much everywhere you're walking, you can walk under a covered walkway. So you're not always having that sun beating down on you, which my skin loves to just roast. So I really have appreciated that. Like, of course you can, walk off, take a different direction and go in the sun if you want to. But if you want to stay under a covered walkway, pretty much everywhere you go, you can here. And it's also nice, like if it just like a tiny little bit of rain, last night, all of a sudden it started raining, just like for a brief moment. But it was all covered, so it really didn't matter. They've done a really good job of covering that, and then there's just umbrellas everywhere. Like every chair has an umbrella. It's not like, how at some resorts they have chairs and then like some of them have umbrellas. Here, everybody has an umbrella. Every single chair, it has a very large umbrella. And speaking of chairs, that is one thing that really stood out to me. Is I've been to some other resorts where you really had to kind of fight for chairs. You had to go down and reserve them early, and towels, like beach towels. Like there just wasn't enough for the capacity of people that were there. That is not the case here. They have so many chairs. They have so many places to sit. They have so many towels. Like I'm never worried that if I get up and move, go to lunch or something, I'm going to come back and I'm not going to be able to sit anywhere. They've done a great job of making it those really abundant places to sit. You're never like at a loss for that. I really, really do like that about this resort. When we first got here, when we first got to Finest Punta Cana, it was lunchtime, so they had two different options for lunch for us, which was a buffet, and both of them were buffets, but one of them was indoors, like a really large buffet, and one of them was beside the ocean. And so we opted for the one beside the ocean, obviously just catch the ocean breeze, check it out. So we headed down there, and that was really nice. They had good food. They had just beautiful views there. So that was one lunch place that we enjoyed. The other lunch place that we ate at twice was the larger buffet, which is indoors, but they also have some outdoor seating. But they just had like everything. They had, a huge salad bar. They had like pasta station where they like make your own pasta. They had pizza. They had Dominican, food, like authentic Dominican food. They had tacos, carnitas. They had, desserts everywhere. They had soup. They had hamburgers. They make you. I mean, just like kind of you name it. You just go around and there's like so many things that you could have. That was a really nice buffet, and desserts. So many desserts. So we enjoyed eating there for lunch a couple of days. I would recommend that. And the way that the dinner works here is you can't, at least at the time we're here, you really can't make reservations. It's more like a first come, first serve typically. The exception to that is there are 3 cooking shows that they will do. And so at the Mexican restaurant and the Asian restaurant, and I think there's a third one and I'm forgetting what it was.
The melting pot thing?
I think that was the Asian one.
Oh, the Asian?
I don't know, 2 or 3. But there was a few different ones where you could go if you show up at that restaurant between 3 and 5, you can then make a reservation for the cooking show. And so if you've ever been to hibachi, where they cook in front of you and they, do all of the food in front of you, it's like that, except we did the Mexican one. And so instead of hibachi, they did fajitas, and they brought out chips and salsa and guacamole, which guacamole is really good. But it was that type of environment where you have a bunch of people, a limited amount of people, I would say, probably 12-ish, sitting there, and the cook cooks in front of you. And so we did that, and that was fun. But for the other restaurants, typically you just show up and put your name on the list, and they don't take reservations. So the earlier that you go, typically the easier it is to get in. Twice we waited about 40 minutes, which wasn't bad. We would put our name on the list, and then we would, come, sit in the lobby, have a drink, listen to music. There's usually other things going on around here. They always have some kind of music happening in the evening that's easy to listen to, and just, there's a lot of kind of bustling around in the evenings because everybody's here having dinner. So it went fast. The time went fast. Probably the number one thing I enjoyed about this resort was the entertainment. I thought they did a good job with the entertainment. For example, I didn't really plan much out to come here. I'm on vacation, so I really don't want to plan out every hour. But they made it really easy here to just be down at the main pool, for example. And one day they were having a bachata lesson, and they're like, "Hey, would you like to come do a bachata lesson?" And people could do it or not do it, but we did it, and it was really fun to just do that kind of right by the pool. And the staff was they were great about like bringing people in, but not in a pushy way, but they would bring you in, and they were just really a lot of fun. So we did a bachata lesson one day. We did mud therapy on the beach one day, which was really fun. And I didn't plan any of those. My daughter played beach volleyball, and it was kind of easy to fall into the activities here versus having to know where things are and go show up at a particular time. I just felt like I didn't really have to plan that, and I really liked that. Also, I just felt like the entertainment in general was good quality, really good singers, really good, they had a Michael Jackson show, and the guy that did Michael Jackson was really good, and just it was like an enjoyable time for the whole family. One thing that I really do like is in the evenings, they typically will have, some show, and they have actually a really nice little theater right down here in the center of everything for the show. And so it's an open air theater, but it has really comfy chairs and a nice stage, and it was just kind of a nice gathering point for everyone. You could show up there, they have a bar, and it was just very pleasant. Like, you didn't feel packed in or anything. And so they would have this show there every night. One night they did like a silent disco, which I am so sorry to say that I missed because I was tired, and it was like the one night I went back to my room, but my husband went to the silent disco, and I am so super sorry that I missed this because I love silent disco. And if you don't know what that is, basically they give you headphones, and he told me these like lit up different colors, which is very cool. So it's like this whole electronic vibe. And so you can change the station though. There's a DJ, and there's like 3 different stations. So it was like, I don't know, blue, green, and red or something like that, to where you change your headset to a different station. You hear different music. So you're dancing to your music, you get to pick, and it's just like this group of people dancing. But if you look at the group of people, it's like, it seems like there's no music. So it's just really a lot of fun. So they did that one night, and that I thought was really special and different from things that I've seen elsewhere. One thing that we really enjoyed here, so I mentioned we have a 14-year-old daughter who is with us on this trip, and so this is a family resort. The Finest Punta Cana is a family resort. But, you know, some other family resorts I've been to, they'll have like nighttime activities like, you know, dancing and clubs and things like that but they're 18 and up. So I definitely think there's a place for that. But for us, we're here on a family vacation, so my husband and I aren't really going to take off and go do the club without her. But what I liked is after the show, you know, they would have a main show every night, so like the Michael Jackson show. But after that show, they would announce, hey, for anybody that would like to, you can go over to this other bar. And it was, it's really cool. It's like this little 50s retro bar. It's called Legends. And they've got, you know, it's like a 50s vibe. But one night, for example, we went and did karaoke. And what I liked about it is it didn't have to be 18 or over. We could take her. So all of us did it. She and I ended up getting up and singing a couple songs together. And it was just really cool that we could take her to those kind of after hours things and didn't have to just say, oh, you know, we're going to go, but you can't. The next night, same type of thing, like after the show that we went to, that night was a pop show, but after that they announced we'll have a DJ at the Legends bar, and so we went over there and there was a DJ and he was just playing all kinds of tunes, and people were dancing, and the staff, though, top notch. They really get into it and they're really good about drawing people in. So, you know, they would get up and they would lead dances, and some were line dances, and, you know, some of them they would, you know, pull you in if they were doing like a salsa number or something, and they would, like, you know, kind of teach you how to do it. So they were really, really great and really added to the fun of it all. We had such a good time doing that. So that was, you know, something that was good for us for our age, you know, child that we have. But even beyond that, like one night there was a giant guy dressed like a transformer, you know, like in I mean, he was really tall and he had like this massive, what was it, bumblebee or something? I don't even know the Transformers, but it looked like a bumblebee. He's kind of scared me too. But yeah, but he was out just kind of walking around at dinner time, and the little kids loved that, and they were like getting pictures with him. And so that was, I just felt like they had a lot of age groups represented, and then they would have some, like, you know, jazz music or whatever playing during dinner, live jazz. But pretty much everything that I saw was really well done and well thought out. And I just give a lot of props to the staff, because they do a great job of pulling you in and making it really fun for everyone. One excursion that we did while we were staying at Finest Punta Cana was we decided to go out on a catamaran one day and do a snorkel excursion. So this is something that I booked separately. I booked it through Viator, and the company that we used was called Happy Fish Catamarans, and we really, really liked them. I recommend them. So here's what we did. They made it really easy too. They messaged me on WhatsApp the day before and said, hey, Kelly, you know, we're gonna, you know, just confirming everything. This is Happy Fish Catamaran. You know, we're gonna meet you at your resort. So they came and picked us up in the lobby that morning at about 8 o'clock and took us out to the Bavaro Beach. And so we got to Bavaro Beach. You know, we had a group of, I'd say, probably about 16-ish people. So it was a small group, but, you know, big enough to, you know, kind of have some other people there, which is sort of fun to me, but not too many people. So once we got to the beach, they loaded us on. They collected all of our sandals, kept those separately, so we didn't have to worry about that. And they loaded us all onto the catamaran, and it was nice because it was big enough. It had a top layer and it had a bottom layer, and there was a bar right in the middle. And everybody had kind of enough room to have their own space. So, like, we had our own corner, and they had like a little table where you could set your drinks inside the table so they didn't fall over. And we just felt like we had our own little corner, but you could still kind of move around the boat as you wanted to. So first thing they did was they took us out to go snorkeling. So we just sailed out past this beautiful, waters, and it's just like that really green, beautiful water, and that you want to see when you come on vacations. It looks like that, and then even just the trees on the shoreline was like, it was like something that you see out of Lost or something. It's like a deserted island. It looked like that. It was beautiful, and you could just see people riding horses along the beach, and it was just a beautiful ride out there, first of all. But they took us out to this cove, and we got on our snorkel gear, and they just took us over into this kind of near this coral reef where there was a lot of little fish, and they were most of them were probably about that big. Some were like long, they have pointy noses. There were some about that big, but there was just a lot of fish in that area. And so we snorkel over, and they would give you, if you wanted, they would give you like some fish food that you could kind of disintegrate with your fingers in the water, and then the fish would all come like right in front of you. It's like, fish frenzy. But I loved it. My daughter hated it, or she loved the snorkel, but she didn't like the fish being really close to her face, so she kind of kept that away. But it was still just really beautiful and easy way to do it. And I will say the staff there was really encouraging to her and to all of us, to just say, hey, try something new. It's a lot of fun. And they were really kind of keeping an eye on everyone. I noticed they would, occasionally be like, are you okay? Making sure everybody was good, So we did that first. Then we got back on the boat, and then we got to have, a little snack. They made us like homemade guacamole, and they gave us chips and salsa. And we also had this, like, all kinds of drinks, but they had this, what they call the Happy Fish Punch, which is basically like fruit punch with rum. But it was good. It was really good. So you could have kind of as much of that as you wanted. So we did, we snacked it up, all of that, and then they took us over to this other area that they called kind of a natural swimming pool. And what it was is like, it's just this really shallow area of the ocean that was, kind of that bright blue color, and it was only like 3.5 feet deep. So you could just see there were a lot of other boats there from other tour companies where people were just all out there. So it was kind of like a little party, and every boat had, music going, and everybody, you just get off the boat and you just kind of stand there and you talk and you can have your drink, you take pictures. Some people were playing football. They had like, our daughter they had a little, what do you call it? The paddleboard where she stands on it, and you kind of paddleboard. So they had that. You could do that. They even managed to bring the bar onto the water, so they got like a floating bar, put all the bar stuff in there, and they floated out so you could, refresh your drink, do whatever. And we just hung out there for a while and listened to music and talked, and it was really, really fun. I really liked that part of it. Made you feel like you were really on vacation when you're in this beautiful water, just kind of hanging out. So that was a great excursion, and I really would recommend using Happy Fish Catamaran. So one of the things that my daughter and I really love to do when we go to resorts is go to the spa and check out the spa. And this one was really unique and different. This whole resort is very modern, but the spa, I think, especially was very modern. My daughter made a comment because it's all kind of a monotone color. So she said it sort of looked like this Star Wars Dune vibe, which I wouldn't have even come up with, but when she said it, I was like, oh yeah, sort of, because it's like everything is very organic and kind of all the same color and very like chill, but it's really beautiful. So I thought that was an interesting take on it. Going to the spa, we both got massages, different massages. She got the Gaia massage, and I got a different one. But both of them were really, really nice. And one of the things that to me was different about the spa is when you go into your room for your treatment, They have these different mandalas. I think that's what how you say it, mandala. There's like 6 different ones on next to your door, and you pick one that you like, and that is supposedly setting your intention for the spa treatment. And so you pick a mandala and then it flips over and it gives you like some kind of a thought or a positive affirmation or something. And so that's kind of different. I've never seen that before. They also have this really wonderful holistic bar that has like salts and oils that are custom for the spa. They make them all for this spa in particular. So depending on your treatment, you may be able to go select one or more of those for your treatment. And I found that to be really cool and different. We have a beautiful area for a hydrotherapy circuit, which is I believe your first session is included if you're Excellence Club or Finest Club, and if you're not, then you can just pay for it if you want to do it. But it's a circuit that you have someone that guides you through this beautiful water circuit, and you start with, I believe, a sauna, and then you kind of go from hot to cold and all these different stations through the hydrotherapy circuit. And then at the end, you finish in this room where you're laying on this kind of heated, table, super modern, still very modern, and they give you a scalp massage. So that looked really awesome and just beautiful. I also thought this spa had some really interesting components in that there is a specific area just for kids for the spa. So if you have a young kid that wants to go to the spa with you, they had a room just for that. So they had, and it was a little more, fun, and, it wasn't as muted and subdued as the rest of the aesthetic of the spa, but it was, had chairs, pedicure chairs that were specific size for kids. They had a little manicure station and different things. So it was a really cute idea. I'd never seen that in another spa that was one just for kids. They also have a beautiful bridal room that has all these, fluffy things on the ceiling and fluffy chairs, and it would be a wonderful area if you're getting married, here to come and do a spa before your wedding. So that's it for Finest Punta Cana. Check it out sometime. It's a really beautiful resort. Come follow me on social media. I'm EpicMomsTravel, and I'll see you at the next resort.